Uh, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3's Executive Committee meeting for the month of April 2022. I hope everyone is doing well. I am going to start with attendance. Laura's going to step in for right now until Larissa gets back on. So Laura's going to take over. So Laura, go right ahead.
Good evening. Buenas tardes. Paul Rangel,
Present, yes.
Eric Diaz,
He's going to be absent.
Tariq Jerome. There you go.
I thought I was on mute. Here.
Larissa Schamberg,
She was on and then her computer froze, so
No,
her
not
absent.
here.
right? Laura would be me. Herman Hewitt, Mei Lee,
Here.
Jackie Wang,
Yeah.
Linda Jones,
Here.
Del Cooper Smith,
Present.
Trevor Holland,
He's absent.
David Crane.
Here.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Next thing, any objections or additions to the minutes from the month of March? It was sent out a couple weeks ago. Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved for March 2021 Executive Committee meeting. All right, so start with my report. I do kind of want to just chop through things tonight. I know we were kind of lengthy last month with our hybrid version of everything, where some of us were on Zoom and some of us were at the office, and I know there's a bunch of technical difficulties and hearing me speak or hearing any of the members at the office speak with the mic, so we're back to Zoom. That being said, it was put into the budget that we will be virtual up until June 8th. After that, I think things get a little bit murky. I know we are still trying to figure things out in terms of quorum being on site and whatnot. But for at least this next month, all the way through June 8th, we will be virtual for all meetings. As much as I want exec to meet face to face, I'll respect the virtual option for now until I know we can't do it anymore. I know Senator Hoylman has been working on legislation to try to make this a permanent reality for open meetings and virtual options. I don't know where that stands right now at the state powers that be, but I know it's out there and it's in the air, and we'll see what happens. In terms of new members, we are still waiting for the borough president's office to announce new members and reappointments. I know some people have chosen not to reapply, and some people are applying for the first time, so we're getting new members. So we don't know who's coming back versus who's coming in. I know some people may have spoken to us individually or spoken to me individually saying they aren't returning, and hopefully that's the right decision for them, and I absolutely respect that. I respect everything that every board member has done for this board, and if that's the decision they have made, that is fine, and I hope I can continue to rely on all those members for guidance in these next several weeks moving forward. So yeah, we are still waiting on a lot of that to happen. That way we can go and make changes that we may need to make, and what I've been thinking about over the past few months, and that will eventually turn into the next report after mine. We are aware of some of the homeless sweeps that have been going on. I believe it's going to be on Human Services agenda next month, Susan. I'm not sure. I don't remember if I saw that on the draft or not, but I'm sure it's a lot of it is recent.
It is now.
It is now.
on
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
it's now, yeah.
All right. Thanks, May. Thanks, Susan. We are aware. I know there have been board members that have reached out to us, sent us videos. The council member is very much involved and aware of what's going on, and it's tragic. It's sad. You can put every adjective that you can put into it. But it will be on the Human Services agenda for next month. We are aware of it. It's not something we're not aware of. That being said, we're also aware of the 14th Street vending situation. Was it the end of March, Susan? March 26th, there was a walkthrough.
Yeah, they're just
Um,
scheduling today, scheduling another follow-up. meeting.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to be part of a bigger meeting with the school and some of the other key stakeholders on 14th Street. Some of you may know that is my alma mater, that school. And the principal was my 4th grade teacher, so I'll be more than happy to speak with her. I know she cares a lot about what's going on there, and and it's about the safety of those young people that goes to that school. Goes from pre-K 4 all the way up to 8th grade. And I know there's parents who are frustrated, as well as just pedestrians walking down 14th Street between First and A and going down the corridor. And we're hoping for reasonable resolution for that situation. I know there's some elements of public safety issues, and there's some elements of people need help, that there's selling, vending on the streets, that there's a lot of elements at play, but we are aware of everything going on, and hopefully we can help ease that situation. But there was a big walkthrough on the 26th. Carlina's office, State Senator Hoylman was there.
Keith Powers.
Keith Powers, Epstein's office, the mayor's office, the Department of Sanitation, the NYPD. It was a who's who of everybody, all in the corner by T-Mobile on 14th and First. So appreciate Susan going in there. I was only able to go there for a little while, but we are aware. CB6 was a part of it as well, I believe. So there's a lot of things going on there, and it is being addressed. It's easier said than done, but it is being addressed. That being said, I'm going to just move to another topic. We are co-sponsoring a marijuana event, not for us to go smoke, sorry, but I believe it was CB2's event. I don't have all the information in front of me. I'll send the email out about it later. We are co-sponsoring, I guess, an event of how the marijuana sales affect community boards and what role we'll have in it. And it's going to be a discussion with everyone. CBs 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I believe the borough president's office is sponsoring it as well. CB2 is kind of taking the lead on this. More than happy to join in with them in terms of hearing how it affects all of us in our communities. So I'll definitely send the email with all the information about that to the entire board and to this executive committee. There's also a couple of resource fairs. Well, it's one resource fair with multiple dates coming up that I would like us to table at. I believe there's a May date and an August date. I'll shoot an email about that, probably within the same email, that I would, hopefully we'll have some new members by then, or newer members can be a part of that, where we get to table at events and represent Community Board 3. I will definitely shoot you those dates. I believe there's a date in May and a date in August, so that we can sign up for both, we can sign up for one, but I'll take everyone's temperature via email over the next couple of days before full board. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that I will be sending that out. I'll address some other issues in a little bit. You'll see it on your agenda tonight, but I'm going to stop with my report for now, unless anybody has any questions for me. I thought I saw Laura with her hand up before, unless I answered the question already.
Yes, I did. Sorry. What was the day that you said you're going to do another walkthrough on 14th Street? I
don't know.
Oh.
Going to do another walkthrough, but we're probably going to.
They are going to.
Yeah, we'll probably have the school involved. We were on emails today, going back and forth, trying to set a time, but it is spring break for everybody. So the school is not back. And once their parent school association and their principal sets a date and time, I will make sure I am available for them to be a part of that conversation.
Now, just so that I have a better understanding of how CB3 works, you are the only one invited to these conversations, or is this open up to all CB3 members?
No.
I think in this specific one I'll be going, but I'm not sure the parameters of how we're going to design this and how other members can be involved.
Is that usually the case, that it's only the chair that?
Not necessarily. But go ahead, Susan.
I was going to say, this is not our event. we're being invited to the event. And they generally, when the council members have an event, they don't want huge crowds. So, I mean, if you're going to invite the public, or if you're going to invite the board, then you're inviting 50 members. That's, you know, the way it goes.
Also, to add, if it's something I know certain members have this very specific interest in, there's a good chance I would reach out to you individually to come with me, or say, hey, listen, there's something going on, I'd like you to come. I usually do it along those lines, but I usually go as the representative of the board for a lot of these things. But I will, from time to time bring, if it's specific to a certain committee, I'll ask the committee chair also to come with me. I know when I was a committee chair of transportation, there was certain events, Susan or Alicia would call me up and be like, hey, you want to come with us for this? Sure. And definitely with anybody who has a vested interest in something, I would say, hey, we have this coming up. Let me know if you can come.
Gracias.
De nada, you're welcome. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Susan.
I just wondered if maybe to mention regarding the future meetings, and, while they're working out details, we are going to have to vote next month. There will be hybrid meetings, and each board is, and we can't vote now because we don't know the details of what we're voting on, but each board is going to have to vote on what kind of meetings they're going to have within the boundaries of what we can do. So that will be on the agenda again next month.
Yeah, so thank you, Susan. I was actually going to talk about that during the Zoom
Oh, I'm
changes
sorry.
portion. No, it's okay. You set me up early. What CB6 did, and this is what I understand happened during our borough board meetings, and what I was able to figure out, CB6 wrote a resolution extending their virtual meetings all the way up until the summer. That's something they did at their board. I'm looking to potentially do something similar for us, but we will have that conversation at next month's executive committee meeting before we vote on anything full board. I'm still trying to piece together what other boards have done. So that would be easier for us to do. I didn't want to rush anything for this month. I was trying to hear things out. I'm still trying to hear things out from other board chairs on what they plan on doing and what they feel like they want to do. So we're trying to put that all together as what we want to see futuristically overall long term, because I think the more resolutions that come from us, from the boards, to try to pressure the state to maybe go this open meeting direction, I think the better. So seeing what CB6 did, they just said, hey, screw it, we're going to go all the way to August, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm like, all right, let's see. Tariq, go ahead. So your hand up.
No, I was raising my hand for clarification. If it was through summer, is what the
they did it through the summer. I'm trying to get a chance to chat with Kyle, who's the full board chair for CB6. But it seems like it's something they did like a couple months ago, right off the bat. So I'm trying to see how we can do something similar.
But,
Go ahead.
all their resolutions could be invalidated because they don't comply with open meeting law.
Right. So like I'm playing this piece by piece because I thought they went very strong. So I thought they went very strong with that. I was like, oh, I don't know how much that will fly, but I know we're still waiting to hear on legislation and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, so we will probably put something together for May. All right. Okay. That is it for my report, unless there's any other questions, comments, concerns, jokes, poems, lyrics. No. Okay, great. So last month I was talking a lot about agenda items. I know some of the committee chairs are not on. Well, just one committee chair is not on. And the thing that kind of just sparked my interest was I was looking at some of the other boards and their agenda items for different committees. Not every board has the same committee structures that we do or anything like that. But I think it's gonna, this report from the vice chairs, both Eric and Tariq, I know they're working on some stuff over the past several weeks and finalized it the other night, to try to get an idea of what are some of the items that are being presented to other boards that may be something that is useful for us as Community Board 3. So I know Tariq's the only one on tonight. Spotlight's going to be on him for the next couple of reports. And I know Eric took part of this. They called me up the other night. So I look forward to hearing what you guys came up with. So go ahead, Tariq. Thank you.
Yeah. So pretty much, I mean, Paul, you hit a lot of it in your report. Actually, like a lot of topics. But some of the things that we are seeing across the board in the various community boards, definitely a topic around homelessness and conversations around that. Plans that many of our elected officials are putting in place to address it with the city. So that was a topic that we saw kind of through line across community boards. Some of the other that we saw were Governor Hochul's 10-point plan for safety was a huge conversation that we felt for public safety. I think a lot of it, homelessness, it could sit in human services, can sit in public safety conversations, or kind of joint for us in some way. Of course, a lot of design work happening. There was a lot of conversations, especially around education, design around schools and construction around schools, and just addressing kind of the safety concerns around that, and the kind of longevity of the projects. So that was, we saw. As it relates to funding, I know Andrea came at one point to talk about this, and I know Arts and Culture has talked about it a bit, but there has been kind of, from pandemic, an increase in funding for arts and culture orgs. But what we saw similarly across the boards was a focus on arts funding for New York City public schools. That is in support for artists in our neighborhoods that they can take kind of advantage on to increase their support as an employment. That was one. Across the whole board, the Omni fare payment for transportation, that was a dialogue that we saw of like how people are using the systems with transportation, and conversations around service and people and population who has access to do that and things. The Fair Fares New York City program, which we, many of our residents are probably certified for that. So that was a conversation that we saw in most community boards that have a population of NYCHA. That was a topic of discussion. How many people know about the program? How many people are actually in our area that are already signed up for that program? That is some of the, I'm just looking to see some of the notes that we had. Some of the things that I think across the, as we were looking at the community board sites, I think a conversation that might be good for us to have is kind of the interface of our website. And I know we just updated it. So I know we did go through that, but that was something as we looked of the ease for, you know, the various people we serve and that we represent, their ability to access information on our site. There were some other community boards that have it readily available for people, the way they have it kind of functioned. So that was something that we made note of, just for us to do a little bit more research on. I know we've been having conversations around outreach and things. A lot of that I think might help as well. Then that was, I think, one of the, Eric had a conversation around workplace vaccine requirements. I think was a conversation as well, how businesses are meeting that in our community, what our community thinks of it. So that we saw many conversations. And I think one of the last pressing things around this, I think really for our community, I want to say, of course, Brooklyn, but there was, I think can't remember which community board it was, but there was a conversation coming up this month or May around the Brooklyn shooter and the impact that has. As I looked at it, I thought about it on our end, just thinking trajectory of the what occurred and the events and being caught in our district. Are we just conversations or updates as to were we, why was he here? What was their purpose? Was there a reason? Should our schools be informed? Like, how can I, like, what should our community be doing to be aware of what's happening?
That's probably the Sunset Park board, right? Because it was like, the Southern Brooklyn community boards. Yeah.
Yeah, but there were some lower, like Manhattan community boards talking about it as well.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tariq. I know you all were putting some hours in on that. And I appreciate it. Go ahead, Susan. You have a question? You're on mute.
Susan. Susan, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sorry. For the website, the one thing we need to know is what boards you liked, because the website we had a choice of 2. And, basically we picked the one that's functional as far as updating. But as far as what had to be, I'm going to be honest, I hate our website. The board, we had a bunch of people from the community board work with DoIT to say what they liked and they don't like. This is what they came up with. And a lot of the functions or functionality of it is because of what's easier for DoIT. For instance, on our last website, which we could not keep because it was no longer supported, there was a lot better functionality. For instance, I could search for anything. It was my file box. It's very difficult to search now. We used to have all the SLA stuff, which everybody searches all the time. Would be one search. Now they divided it up by years. It's all based on what's easiest for DoIT. But if the one thing that would help, if you think there are things that are better on other websites, the one thing that would help is to know which websites, because what I have to find out is, are they using the same template? It's a team site template.
Got it. I will do, Susan. I'll
Thank you.
I'll try to get that. No, and I definitely love, from our old website to what we have now, I love it now. It is. But I think as we were just doing other research, we were like, whoa, there's some things that we could probably utilize too. So, but I'll get the name of them. So
we can't individually do that. Only the city can do it, but we could say we want this, or, there's some things that we can change. I'm surprised you like this one better, but because I will say the functionality of the last one was, it's just no question. Like, I could search the whole website with one search engine, which I can't do now.
Got it. Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So if I could get the name, the boards, that would be great.
I'll get that.
Jackie, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Tariq, you mentioned a program that the NYCHA residents are not aware of. I'm sorry, I didn't catch what program.
Fair Fares.
Oh, Fair Fares, okay.
Yeah. It's like the reduced price of like Metro cards and things. Yeah.
But that is probably more related to the public transportation and safety committee, not really related to NYCHA or.
I think it could relate to both committees.
Okay.
Yeah, it relates to something, and we can find it where we can put it, right? I think that was the whole goal of a lot of this, is to try to figure out stuff. And Go ahead, Susan. Go ahead. Listen.
What is it that the community board could do around it?
I think it could be more of like a, informational outreach, just a kind of report. I don't think many people know about it. So it could just be something where we are able to share information about the program for our community. And Jackie, I necessarily was talking, just giving topics idea. I didn't really like go through by committee, but.
No, I understand that. I'm just like thinking like if there's something the NYCHA committee can do, since you mentioned that, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, this program is not just for NYCHA, it's for anyone who meets the
right.
income guidelines.
Right,
So
right, I understand.
but NYCHA is like a natural population to outreach to. We're trying to get more people to enroll in the program.
Yeah,
Correct.
but it's definitely not a NYCHA program.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Right, cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, May. Tariq, great job. I know Eric's not on, but great job to him too. I know you guys worked on this, and I'm sure we'll get more stuff coming in down the line. Thank you. Thank you. So any other questions for Tariq on that stuff? No? All right, cool. Now comes the main event. So the attendance report, Tariq, I know Eric happened to be helping you with this, and that's something he did previously as second vice chair. I think what we really want is the names, and the names do have to be put into the minutes and of people who are kind of at that point where we need to send letters out to.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I will have a few things here. One, I am just managing, I have a cousin who was in a car accident, so I am managing that right now. And I'm also getting news that I should be a godfather by tonight.
Wow.
My emotions are a little bit all over the place. I wasn't prepared to do that other report. I thought Eric was going to be doing that. So, but I'm here and we're gonna get through it. As I looked, Susan, can you just give me a quick update? I mean, I do want to talk about like attendance and just kind of improving the process for attendance moving forward. And calculating all of this, as I did get is, just having a conversation about other ways we might be able to improve this for anybody having to go through this that may not have number like Excel kind of, I had to go in one by one to do all these percentages. And it wasn't fully laid out in the spreadsheet properly for 50 people. So is that like that, or is that?
I don't think we should have that conversation now. We can have it offline. One of the problems that has come up is different as each person takes this position, they change it. Lisa, when she was doing it, put in formulas and we used the formulas she put in.
Okay.
And if you want to do that, that's fine. As far as the template of the general template, yeah, I mean, that is, that's the way we've been doing it for many years. It's, how it's very easy for Deidre to take the attendance and, be able to put it in. If we have a freelancer, sometimes if she's out, someone else has to be able to come in and just be able to do it, easily. It has to be something very easy that people don't have to be trained on. If you want to put in underlying formulas for that, that's what Lisa did. That's fine. And then we'll use the, you can do that and we'll keep putting in the attendance.
Yeah. And so you're just saying that was organized by a board member or the second?
No, this originally from a borough president.
Okay.
Because we report the attendance to borough presidents and the council members, but particularly borough presidents.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to make note so that we could just have conversation that there was no formulas or anything laid out. So I had to go do all of that individually.
That's what Lisa had done. She went in and put formulas in.
Got it. Okay.
May, I'm going to hold off on your question. I'm just going to want Tariq to keep speaking because.
So.
Go ahead.
Paul, I'll give you the highlighted names that are coming up. Ellen Liu. Just looking at this as it's coming up on my, so usually this, is it just giving you name? Do you need the,
We need
Yeah.
the percent, well, they'll need the percentages too for the letters.
okay. So I have to finish, but fully what is coming up, Ellen Liu, Alistair, Economacus.
Economicus, yeah.
Yeah,
There's Jesse Beck,
Okay.
Thomas Rosa, and Anisha Stephen.
what about Jonathan Chu?
Yeah, gotta be Jonathan Chu.
Yes, sorry.
There you go. It's all right.
Now, I believe Ellen did not renew, so that may be a moot point.
Right.
Well, that's an issue, is that we've been trying to get from the borough presidents the names of people who are not, who did not reapply, because there's no point in us spending any time on them.
Exactly.
So I assume Ellen is not. I know Jonathan's not. Anisha, I thought wasn't she, was she on leave or something?
I'm not in favor of giving her a letter because we were waiting on hearing back on her status with the Department of Treasury and conflict of interest. And she was, I knew she was going to be out. Like, we had to get time off. There's no need for her to get-
Yeah, I think she kind of formally
Yep.
was, but
Yeah.
there wasn't probably a way. I don't think the information went through to formally put that on the attendance sheet for whatever reason.
Yeah, if that was hers on the attendance, it's not coming up as like excused or anything. So
Should have.
Well, yeah.
it just was an absence.
Yeah, she won't get a letter. No.
But I think she had informed that
Yeah.
that until the government figured out what she was allowed to do and what she wasn't allowed to do. So, yeah, you're right. I think it didn't go through the formal process.
Okay. Yeah, it was a little
Sorry.
bit of a cluster of a situation, but
Yeah,
okay.
no, that's fine.
May-
Those are the names that have come up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to offer my help if you want. I had helped Eric because he manually counted it, like this, and since some board members said, oh, but that's not true, so I wasn't absent or whatever, so, and then I inserted the formulas that helped to check his counting. Probably like what Lisa did. I know there are quite a few other board members here who also have some spreadsheet skills, I'm sure, but I do have some skills, and if you need them, let me know.
I will definitely take you up on them skills.
Appreciate that, May. Okay, we have Ellen, who we are pretty much sure that I've heard that she's not reapplying, but that's,
Yeah, she told me
until I
that.
see
It
stuff
hasn't been
written,
confirmed. It
until I
hasn't
see
been.
stuff written in
You
front of
need
me,
to
I
confirm
won't
it, yeah.
know about it.
Jonathan told me he was not reapplying.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Elegant,
Susan?
Jonathan, Thomas Rosa.
But he's
also
reapplying.
and he's, yeah.
So
our main ones.
when you get a chance to read, maybe over the weekend before full board, try to get the percentages for Alistair, Jesse, and Thomas.
So
Okay.
the thing is, by the bylaws, I believe we have to decide who's going to get letters.
Tonight? Sure.
Well, it's, it gives if you want to take a look at the wording, it says specifically from 1 month, the 2 6-month periods.
Okay.
And I know they rewrote, maybe, I don't know if Michelle remembers, or David, because it was rewritten in the last bylaw, so I don't remember the exact wording. I know there's a lot, I remember there was a lot of discussion around it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to look it up as well on my phone. I apologize if I'm going back and
Board members absent for more than 1/3 of the board members' meeting obligations during a 6-month period. Board chairperson shall propose that the executive committee take action. The executive committee may decide that a letter shall be sent either electronically or by regular mail to the board member, advising the board member of their substantial lack of attendance with a copy to the elected official who recommended the board member and the borough president. If the letter is sent and if during the next 3 months, the board member continues to be absent for more than 1/3 of their meeting obligations, the chairperson shall propose the removal of the board member as set forth in section 1 below. There should be 2 periods for measurement of attendance, April to September and October to March.
So it's pretty set period.
yeah, I know we cleared it up, the previous bylaws committee. All right, so that means we got to make this decision tonight on whether or not we're sending letters to Alistair, Jesse, Thomas, and Ellen, because we don't know for sure that she hasn't reapplied. Larissa, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I do, thank you. So you mentioned that this has to go into the minutes. If
Right.
this needs to go into the exec minutes, Tariq, would you mind copying me on that percentage when you have that calculated? Thank you so much.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, but that's not in the minutes.
No, we
you
just,
mentioned
it's just the
minutes.
names that we're sending the letters
Oh,
to.
the percentage doesn't have to be, okay.
Well, we
Thank you.
don't have the, we're not
Clarification.
going to have it tonight.
No, it's not going to be tonight, obviously, but
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
So Alistair's gotten a letter in the past, a few years ago. And then he improved it. I think he dropped a committee because of that and was improved for a while.
David Crane has his hand up. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, my battery is going to die very shortly. This is the point where, I mean, the reason why you sort of have an option here is because of the discussion about, I guess, fairness. You know, if there's a known reason, do we really want to send them a letter because it, you know, I guess the example was religious holidays or some extenuating circumstances. Anyway, but in my opinion is that we should lean towards sending letters, because
Yeah.
really this is simply a, you know, there's a situation we'd like to help is the tone of this letter, right? This point.
Yeah, I think at this point, this is more of how can we help you kind of thing. So
Yeah, so this is definitely not a super public, you know, or we're calling you in. We're not
Yeah.
to that point. And so I really think we ought to just send as many of these as makes sense.
yeah, so I'll go with this based on what Tariq just shared. The names here are Ellen, Alistair, Jesse, Thomas, Anisha, and Jonathan. Jonathan, we know, is not coming back, so I don't see the issue of giving him a letter. Anisha, I know what the situation was with her, and it was just there was just lack of clarity on putting that on the excused list. No, you know, Thomas and I know each other, but he misses days. That happens. So we got letter is important for him. Jesse, not sure if he's on any other committees or anything like that. Alistair, you said he's received the letter in the past. Ellen, we just don't know what her situation is. I know she's, I know she sits on SLA, and Michelle reached out to her because we knew she was out and she hadn't responded. Last summer when she had sat on both SLA and transportation, when I was transportation chair, she reached out to me saying I can't be on transportation anymore, and she was dropped off transportation. So, you know, if she's just not coming back to the board, fine, I get it, but she hasn't resigned from the board either. So I think a letter should still go to her. I am of the opinion of letters should go to Ellen, Alistair, Jesse, and Thomas, because it's more of a how can we help you kind of thing. Are there any objections to that? David, you still have your hand up, or is that your battery died and that was it? No, he has his hand back up. No, he has his
I meant
hand
to
down.
put it down. Someone did it for me.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
So can we go over the process?
Sure, go ahead, Susan, if you want to.
So Tariq, what we've done in the past is the person sends us a letter. If you'd like us to send you a copy of the last one to use as a template, I'd be happy to do that. And try to remember to ask to have it done tomorrow. If I don't do it like in 2 days, remind me, but I'll try and get it done tomorrow. So the letter, then usually write the letter, send it to the office. Deidre sends it out. But it's signed by the two of you, Tariq and Paul. And you guys will be copied, but it all gets sent out from the office. And it should have the percentage in also.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah, we'll get that template, and once that's ready, Tariq, it's only 4 names that you've spotted, so it should be relatively simple. Thank you. Any other questions? There was no objections on those names, so we'll move forward. I don't need to vote on that, do I? I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Okay. Okay. All right. So Tariq, thank you. I know you've had a lot of things going on. I'm just going to sidebar really quick before I move into other reports. I know Tariq said he's got a lot of things going on. Also, I know he's got a big fundraiser coming up himself for his organization. I wish him the best of luck on that. I know he's doing a lot of good things for the young people in this community and other communities, and I wish him the best of luck in the fundraiser, because it's all over my timeline all the time. So he knows how to put his ads out there. So good luck to you, Tariq, and I hope it goes well for you Tuesday night.
Thanks.
All right. So that being said, I will move over to the district manager's report. The district manager, who's on vacation but is with us tonight. So go ahead, Susan.
Okay, thank you. Let me get back to my notes. So Amazon is coming to our transportation committee to deal with some transportation issues. I'm kind of amazed. They've, at one time I couldn't get anyone to talk to us. And now they're like emailing every day. Can we do this? And we're going to fix this. What I wanted to mention to the exec, so they will be at the transportation committee with some specific issues. And we asked also to have them talk about their plans, on how to deal with their issues in the community. But there's 2 other things. So thought it might be good, if people thought it was okay, to ask if there's any way that Amazon is giving back to the community. I mean, we can't say to them, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I think it's legitimate to say, is there, you are a presence in our community. Is there any way you're working to give back to the community? So I wanted to ask what the exec thought about that. And along with that, we have our Lower East Side Employment Network, which I regularly, always after a vote, if like a hotel or someone comes to us for a vote, I always wait till afterward and then ask if I can connect them for employment opportunities, which has been great. It's been very successful over the last 10 years. I know with Amazon, Lower East Side Network has not been able to work with them for local hiring. One of the main reasons is because they're so automated. And I was just watching an interview of the guy that organized the warehouse, and he was mentioning even hiring and firing, everything is just totally automated. You get an email to get fired. So I would like to, after they give their spiel, ask if I could connect them to Lower East Side as part of giving back to the community, connect them to Lower East Side Employment Network. But on both of those issues, I wanted to get a sense from the exec on what you thought about it.
Can you cover that first question again, Susan?
So,
what are you asking of Amazon again?
There's 2 things. They're
Right.
connected. The 2
Okay.
things after they give their presentation and everything's done. Is there anything they're doing in the community to give back to the community? And then specifically on local hiring with Lower East Side Employment Network, they have not been able to work with them because everything is so automated. And would they be willing, both for their benefit and for the community, would they be willing to try and work with Lower East Side Employment Network to see if there's a way in our community where they could work together?
Yeah.
Is that the
Go ahead, Linda. Linda, were you saying something?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of precedent for bringing up the possibility of working with Lesson. I don't think there's any issue there. Maybe they need to put together a training program so that people can learn to do whatever it is they need. So I think that's perfectly valid. I'm not sure about the other thing. I leave that to others to discuss.
Thank you, Linda. Go ahead, Laura. See your hand.
You guys know I'm new down here, so is that the only organization, Susan, that you're going to ask Amazon to partner up with, or are we going to ask for others as well?
There is only one. It is a network of every workforce. Lower East Side Employment Network, which we have found, we're actually a member, is a network of all Lower East Side workforce developments. We do not compete. We work together.
Thank you.
I'm going to go in a little bit different of direction. Thank you, Laura. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction on this. Do you feel that the Transportation Committee, that where they're presenting, is the right opportunity to present these things to them, or not bringing them back in front of another committee such as Economic Development or something else?
So precedent is for employment. The precedent has always been in whatever committee they were in. Again, always after a vote. And it wasn't a discussion there. It was, this is what we do. Would you be willing to connect you? And that was it. It wasn't something that a committee took up. And our committee, very specifically, the boards never get involved in those conversations. The Lower East Side Employment Network does.
All right, David Crane, go ahead.
Yeah, we've done it exactly that way at the Transportation Committee, just where this will be. It should happen after the vote, so there's no sense that we're holding hostage or something. I do find the question of, the give back to the community question to be hopelessly vague and weird.
How would you word it?
Sorry, I wouldn't ask it.
Okay.
I like the lesson idea. I think more than anything else, to get, you said they had trouble partnering up with, or not have partnered.
I don't think it's going to be successful. I want to try. I don't think it's going to be successful because it's like Target. They were willing to try and work with us, but you have these huge national things. They have their procedures, and their procedures aren't for local hiring, but it's always worth an effort.
Sure.
Okay.
But I'm going to say personally, I think any business that makes a huge profit in our community and also really impacts. We gave them a whole curb line on Houston. We've now given them the trucking line on, well, we haven't, the city has, on Bowery. They do serve the community. Everybody, orders from them. So they absolutely serve the community, but they also make a huge profit and impact on using public space. So, I won't bring it up, but I'm just on that, I personally think those places should give back to the community, should at least have it discussed to give back to the community. But maybe someday we'll figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do, turkeys to a homeless shelter at Thanksgiving. It's just like,
there's loads
those
of
are
things that
those are
people
nickel
do.
and dime things, and it's a corporation.
And a lot of the corporations do big things.
Such as?
And sometimes, TAO Hotel Group just contacted me and said, how can we help with, we have a pop-up in SDR Park once a week. We have a bunch of providers come to SDR Park. They give out food, they do case management and a number of things. And they asked how they could help support that. And they're going to give prepared meals, and they're going to, give socks and things like that. There are loads of ways. And it was actually a meeting to set up a proposal on how it would be best for them to do it.
Okay, I don't know if my committee is the right place to bring that up,
Okay, I won't.
that kind of a thing, but I could see someone sponsoring, a soccer youth league will just fund it for this year, hopefully without attaching their name to it.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Maybe
Okay.
they have a charitable giving arm within the company, and you could try to find out how to be in touch with that.
That's an idea.
Yeah, I'm not completely against this. I think where it will reside is another
Okay.
question, but I think
I'll just ask about employment and leave it at that. I've already, discussed it with Lower East Side Employment, whether they thought
Okay.
it was a good idea, and they said it would be appreciated.
yeah, I don't think I'm not completely against it. Maybe maybe we can have an offline conversation about that, Susan.
Okay, so just to continue with my report.
Yep.
So I'm not sure everybody's aware, but Bowery Mission started this a couple of months ago. I guess they contacted the board about where would be a good place to set up to give out food, and they're working with City Relief. So, I directed them to SDR Park, and we've connected them now with both with parks to, make sure the place was good, with a number of with Goddard Outreach. They're now on Goddard Outreach brought in Housing Works to do harm reduction. We connected them with the Park Coalition, the one that Kay's associated with, and they help out. So it's become, and now the two organizations that are getting, it's called Connect Mental Health Funding, are going to be working with them too with mental health. It's a kind of mental health without walls. So it's, I think, an amazing model that we helped set up there. Everyone thinks it's working really well, and I think we're going to have sort of a meeting to kind of touch base just to make sure how everything's going. But I wanted people to be aware of it. I think it's a great thing. The DA's office, also in working with the board, is going to try and set up like a service provider coalition for our, I forgot you were here, service provider coalition meeting to see how we coordinate. One of the things a number of us have found that we have problems with in the city is agencies don't talk to each other. It's like this Connect Mental Health Funding. The people that needed to know didn't know about it. We found out, everything's sort of accidental. So we're just trying to set up some really good coordination. The other thing I wanted to do is just kind of briefly remind people of the procedure for minutes to let you know how the office deals with them, because I think that'll be helpful for you in knowing what happens to them. So when the committee minutes come in, they go to Ed. I'm always copied. And part of the reason for that is so I could say, hey, Ed, yes, you did get those minutes. But they go, Ed pulls them into a folder. He does not read them. He pulls them into a folder. And then several days before the executive committee, or earlier, if he has time, he has to format the minutes. He takes the resolutions and he puts them on the beginning of a vote sheet. The vote sheet is day after exec. It's sent out to all the board members so they know what they're voting on, and it's posted on the website. And then, of course, it's voted on at the full board. So we don't read any of these. I occasionally look at some, if they're particularly like May's, if I think I volunteered to do something, I'll look at it for reference. But we don't go through the minutes at all. So what's there, the resolutions gets put on, and that's what you're voting on. We have an archive for all the minutes. Deidre goes into the archive, takes the attendance and puts it into the Excel spreadsheet. So she has to know either they were there, they're not in there, or they're on leave, or an asterisk, like, which means they were representing Community Board 3 at another meeting. So it's not helpful to have like, well, you know, an explanation or something, because Deidre doesn't know what to do. Then she comes to me and says, what do I do with it? So we need to make things as certain things as assembly line as possible, because so much of what we do is not assembly line and has to be thought about. Anything we can make assembly line that's automated, we do that as far as a process. Also, as far as just the timeliness, we're on a cycle. And each person does certain responsibilities at certain times. So we can't just have everything end up at, you know, like last minute at the same time, because then there's something else that they're not going to be doing. So I just wanted to explain that, because I think people, you know, it's not always obvious why we need things. What I also do when I have an assistant district manager is give them enough time to be able to read through the resolutions, except the SLA ones, just to make sure everything's clear, something's not missing. Like last month, there was a question mark in the middle of a reso, which none of us caught. Or like Trevor had mentioned, I had read his and I saw that instead of supporting CB3, it sounded as if some issues were coming from CB3 instead of supporting CB1. So I just changed the wording. So we do try to always read that, just to have a fresh eye from someone that was not involved in the vote, to make sure it's all clear. So I just wanted to give that to be helpful. There's a lot of other things going on in the office. For instance, we have to do compliance reporting, which is like 1 million pages of paperwork. Security importing, those disclosures, a lot of things that are not seen outside, but are just part of New York bureaucracy. And last thing I wanted to mention is one of the reasons that we're so careful in how we do things or word things sometimes is because we've been sued a lot. It's never, I mean, people have attempted to sue us a lot. They've attempted to sue Community Board 3. They have attempted to sue me personally. They had attempted to sue Alex in the past. I have been disposed. I have been subpoenaed in court, all on Community Board 3 issues. So from the, you know, government standpoint, that's why I try to be so careful on certain issues. And that's it.
All right, any questions? Oh, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, Susan, I understand we have to put the results in the minutes, and but just curious, like for this month at land use, we voted on a questionnaire. It's not really a result. So do I put the whole entire questionnaire on the minutes, or I have a separate documents for it?
If we're voting on, did you guys vote on the resolution?
We it's not really a resolution, but we did vote.
You voted on the questionnaire.
Yeah, but it's not really like sending to any like public agencies. That's why I didn't.
No, it doesn't matter. Sending to agencies is not the issue at all. Sometimes it's just taking a position. So you should have a resolution in there, and the resolution should be to approve the resiliency questionnaire. And yes, we should have a copy of the resiliency questionnaire.
So I should put it in the minutes instead of a separate attachment.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So I'll resend resend the minutes to Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I say how many pages is it?
Yeah, I think it's a lot. That's why I keep it as a separate document and send it to you and Ed previously. But then if you are asking me to put that in the minutes are going to be very lengthy. So
maybe what we should do is put it at the end of the vote sheet. I think we've done that in the past with long documents.
Okay,
so I have in the minutes the resolution to approve the questionnaire, and then we'll just have a C end of vote sheet.
Okay, all right. I mean, you have both documents already.
But see, I'm not in the office, so I haven't looked at anything.
Right, right. I mean, Ed has the document.
Okay. He hasn't asked me yet. And so May, if I could just ask at this point, for the resolution where you made changes after the committee voted, so we should show all those as track changes, correct?
Yeah.
So they should be, so.
Oh, there was changes suggested by a committee member and they're grammar changes, but yeah, they were done after the vote. So if the procedures to have it shown as track changes, I'll do it. And or is that the, whatever the procedure is?
Is it just grammatical?
It's all grammatical.
So David, did he leave? Oh, no, he's still there. David, if it's just grammatical, can we just change it or do we have to vote on amend it?
Hi. I think I'm sorry. Any change, anything that came out of committee is supposed to go verbatim. So just do it as a simple, amendment. This seems like a friendly amendment. If there are no objections, they're adopted.
So then we need to show the track changes and move it as an amendment.
Okay. Yeah, keep the track changes. All right. Any other questions for Susan? No? All right, so we're gonna move on from there. Thank you, Susan. All right, so this item is an interesting one because it was spurred on from the Parks meeting last week. I know Trevor is not on right now.
Probably traumatized.
No, I know he's away. So some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard. Unfortunately, Parks was Zoom bombed to the highest degree last week. And we are still aware and things still investigating stuff, but apparently there was some, for lack of a better phrase, unsavory language directed at Trevor, slurs, bunch of stuff you just don't want to read, and potential death threats in the Zoom chat. I think it was all because of the ESCR stuff, from what I understand. We received tons of emails from the Parks Committee meeting last week. It was just not, it wasn't cool. It wasn't good. It was disturbing. Seeing the chat, I know they had to shut down the meeting at one point and then started back up again. And even it just wasn't good.
There was also disruption with noises that people were putting, so the meeting could not continue.
It's bad. I know it's bad. Thank you, Linda, for adding into that.
I mean, the rest of us couldn't see the chat. It was directed to
yeah. And because we saved the chats, I got a chance to see the chat. And as a former committee chair, as the board chair, I don't, and just board members in general, we shouldn't be subjected to any of that. We are appointed officials, but at the same time, this is we're volunteering our time, and this sucks when you see that kind of stuff. You see it sometimes at other committee meetings, not just in Community Board 3, other boards, other big meetings throughout the city. I know we had our big transportation open restaurants meeting in July at Boys Club, and you get, you kind of see that stuff face to face. You see a lot of these keyboard warriors out there, quick to say something online, but won't say it to your face. But this is what, I know he's not on, but I felt terribly for Trevor last week, just seeing all that and what was being said to him, and some of the stuff wasn't even being captured just because of the craziness that was going on, which leads to, a bigger conversation. I think we had this conversation in June of last year this is, he's not the only committee that this has happened to. There's some, committees where stuff is said about board members and board chairs and committee chairs that is not good. I know we're going to try, CB2 tends to send out registrations for the meetings, for community board meetings, whether it's committee or full boards. And then you get sent a link for your Zoom invitation and whatnot. I am leaning towards going into that direction, so we have a better track of who's coming on. I know it. I kind of want to see everything move to webinar format. I know our exec meeting and full board is a webinar format, but not the rest of the committee meetings are not, right? I think I'm leaning towards moving everything towards webinar format. I know that limits public discussion. Not saying that's something that I want to be against, but because of what this did on last Thursday, I'm kind of like, I don't know. If somebody wants to speak from the public, we can always promote them up to a panelist level and then throw them right back down into the attendee level. It's not that difficult. I know it's maybe a bigger conversation with some Zoom facilitators down the line. And luckily we had a pretty good Zoom facilitator on, but it was still not enough. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to hear thoughts. Tariq, go ahead.
There is a Zoom facilitator for parks.
Yeah.
I do caution the direction of kind of public session and question. I mean, I'd like to have probably more conversation around that moving forward. I think that there is, I don't know fully if things were happening in the chat, but there is a way as a facilitator to go to the participant function and eliminate everybody from being able to unmute. They only can raise their, there's a way to do all of that. You can even take off video for everyone in Zoom and eliminate anyone writing in the chat. When you go to the functions, the settings in Zoom. So that could be something that we add to kind of the Zoom facilitation direction guide for matters like this moving forward, but something we could look into.
Thank you. Let me see the hands. Linda, Susan, May, in that order. Linda.
Yeah, chat is very problematic. People just can't seem to restrain themselves. And then that was a horrible incidence of it. But I really think that the Zoom host needs to be able to shut down the chat when that stuff starts up completely. No more chat, period. And we all need to be trained on how to do that. And
yeah.
With the noise guy, Michael, I don't know what, I know Michael's a good Zoom host, so, he's one of the best. So, but he couldn't seem to get to what Tariq was discussing, where you can see in the participant list who's making the noise. And somehow he couldn't get that.
Yeah, I don't really know it here because I'm not, but if you, if in participants, you just go in and it says mute everyone.
Yeah.
And so where they can't unmute at all.
Right.
So he did not know how to unmute them during the meeting. He stopped the meeting and had people sign back in with everyone muted.
Yeah.
Which was a good solution. So that, maybe these are training things for when you have extreme situations. What's the other thing? Oh, yeah, the person who's making a noise will rise to the top of the participant list. And you generally can find them, but for some, you'd have to ask Michael more about what happened, because as I say, I know he knows his stuff and he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, it was an extreme situation. It's beyond more usual. Go ahead, Susan.
First of all, this was specifically Trevor and Parks. The people who are doing this are also giving death threats to the DDC liaisons, to the contractors. They're calling people, they're going on site. The things that were said to Trevor are different than anything else. It was personal, it was racial, and it was horrible. And it was more horrible than anything. And some of the things in other committees have actually been from board members. So this is definitely very targeted, and I need to change that committee before May, which I don't think is a problem. The other thing is we do have professional help for the Zoom. The borough president hosts Beta NYC, and it's actually, they pay for our Zoom account. They have the main settings and all this. So I did have a lot of email conversations with Trevor and Michael. They never mentioned the noise, but we talked about everything else.
There was a
What pe-
screeching noise and the
Okay.
meeting had.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
So what people were doing in the chat, they were renaming themselves from people who were already in the chat. Like
That's
one
right.
woman emailed me the next day and say, why was I kicked out? And I said, you were kicked out because someone else took your name and was, saying things in your name. One of the names they used was David Adams. They even used a board member's name. So I would like to say for next month, this is what Noel suggested that we do is, first of all, at least for parks, while you're thinking about everything else, is to have everybody register. So we at least, even if we don't have it as a webinar, they can still register. When the meeting starts, and Noel can train us in this, is change the renaming so no one is capable of renaming themselves. We have to make the chats. So the chats were going to two people. The chats were going to the host, who was Michael, and the co-host that was going to Trevor. The worst stuff was the stuff going to Trevor, and that was not saved because only the host is saved automatically. So we didn't know. So we do need to also change the chat, but also not let people be renamed and make them register. So that way, Noel, because he actually went into our settings and he did a lot of background work. That way he'll, at the very least, be able to see who's doing what. So I would like, if it's okay, Paul, for, and I don't think Trevor should ever go through that again, to make that, to at least have people register and have Noel, I think Trevor is going to have to get a new Zoom facilitator, because I thought that I heard, but it's not been confirmed, that Michael didn't reapply. But Noel said, after we decide what to do, he will go over the settings with us and any training.
Yeah, I think the training for handling extreme situations would be great.
So for next month, though, I would like to change that one committee to have people register. And if you think it should be a webinar, also do that. And you don't have to promote people to be a panelist. You can just click on let them speak.
Yeah.
All right. May and Larissa quickly, and then I'll address that specific.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like, there's the technology issues, and then there's the ESC. I didn't realize it was people were quite that extreme. I've heard a lot of news about them, but I don't know. So that's another thing to deal with, separately. But I was also wondering, after June 8th, what's going to happen, and it may not be all virtual meetings. So so we probably have to readjust the plan. And maybe it's better in person because people just do stuff, online that never do in person. So.
We don't know if they're going to be hybrid. We don't know what's going to happen yet.
Right. So I'm saying that
next month.
Yeah, right. Where we're talking about stuff now, but we may have to readjust when we find out. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, May. Larissa, go ahead.
Sure, I just would like to support the option of changing to webinar format. I mean, if you're a good Zoom facilitator, you can manage to promote people to allow them to speak. I don't see that it really limits the ability for the public to participate. I think that is a good option. It makes it for a much orderly meeting. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Larissa. Okay, so I'm going to address specific parks. I think for parks, I think we will go with the registration portion. Unless there's absolutely a ton of objections there, I think considering what happened and what I read last week, I think it's absolutely necessary that we get a registration portion. If we ever needed investigations to see who said what, I think it'd be absolutely important. I don't want any board member or committee chair to be subjected to what Trevor was subjected to last week. I don't want anybody testing their resiliency in terms of stuff like this. This is not that's not what this is about. So I'm with the registration portion and making it a webinar for parks only. Is there tons of objections? If not, we're going to go through with that, and we can have a conversation with Trevor at a separate point. Susan.
Okay.
Okay. All right. No objections on that. In terms of the larger scale stuff, we will continue to have conversations around that. Most committees do not have this problem. This, as Susan mentioned earlier, this is extremely targeted. If you see some of the social media that goes on around this specific situation, it's absolutely out of this world. And it's sad. It's the only way to describe it, and it's pathetic. No one deserves that. All right. I am done on that portion, and we'll move forward. I know Michelle's traveling, so she had to sign off. So we'll start with committee reports. I know SLA is up first. She did send me a message that they considered 7 applications. They wrote the stipulations up for all, and they'll be in tomorrow. So that's about it. I know she's going to get the minutes into you all as well. She is commuting and had trouble coming on. That is it for the SLA report. Parks is absent, as you know. That was a mess last week. No updates from him. Trevor did reach out to me. David, transportation. Did his battery die?
On the phone.
No, he's just unmuted.
We didn't do anything with votes on it. It was a pretty brief meeting.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, unless there was something I forgot. I don't believe we had a vote.
No, I don't think you had a vote either. No. Okay. All right. May Human Services.
Yeah, so we'll have something to vote on next month, and it's a letter, a follow-up letter to Councilmember Botcher's, Eric Botcher's 8-point mental health plan for New York City. We're supporting it, but also want to make more comment. We had a lot about sort of other, like fine tuning it to particularly fit the needs of our community. So it's a letter, and that's what's going to be voted on. And we have a pretty packed agenda for May. We're planning for a panel in June on homeless families and youth, something else. And we were hoping to have it in person, but I don't know, I guess not. Okay, and the panel is in June. And in May, as you all know, we're gonna I guess have an agenda item about the homeless sweeps.
Okay. Thank you, May.
Amongst other things, but that's one of the results, I think.
Awesome. Thank you, May. Any questions for May? No. All right. Thank you. Jackie, land use, you're up.
Thank you. So we didn't have a resolution for this month, but as I mentioned before, the Land Use Committee have been working to create a resilience and sustainability development questionnaire, and also updating the existing housing questionnaire. So we ended up just combining the 2 questionnaires into one, and we also voted to approve it. And the questionnaire is lengthy. That was submitted to Eden and Susan, the district office earlier. That's it.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm envious. Jackie had a shorter meeting than I did this week.
Yeah, 45 minutes only.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. All right. That's it for committee reports. There was no economic development, no landmarks, and there was no subcommittee meetings for this month. Is there any old business? Any new business? All right, everyone, it's about 8:01, so I'll take a final vote, attendance vote, and then we will adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank
Go to the roll call. Paul Rango,
Yes.
Eric
Oh, I'm sorry, the
Diaz.
personnel task force is gonna have a reso, but it's,
Oh, I'm
it'll be in the
sorry,
vote sheet.
we didn't put it in the agenda, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say. It met, it interviewed, and made a decision, and it's gonna be on the vote sheet.
Thank you. Sorry
This
about
is
that.
for the
Matt.
ADM position.
Sorry about
Just
that.
as
Matt.
long as it's on the vote sheet, that's all I
We'll
care.
be on. We'll be on. Thank
No,
you.
it is. Ed actually emailed and asked if it should be first and last. And I said last so that you could go into executive committee and people wouldn't have to wait around.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Larissa. Sorry about that.
Sure, no problem. Okay, Eric Diaz, absent. Laura Lugo.
Here.
Herman Hewitt. Okay, Ailey,
Here, yes.
Jackie Wong,
Here, yes.
Linda Jones,
Here, yes.
Tariq Darrell.
Yes.
Thank you. Larissa Chamber, present. Michelle Cooper Smith, who said she's traveling. Was she not on? Was she
She's not on. She's absent. Yeah,
Okay, thank
she's
you. Okay, Trevor Holland
absent.
and David Crane. David, do we still have you?
David,
Don't see him.
He's
He's
there.
on. He's on.
there.
There. Oh, there he is at the bottom. Okay. Can you type in the chat?
Mhm.
Okay, count him. Okay,
right.
let's roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. Yeah, you see,
There you go.
his battery died.
Oh,
so-
poor guy.
Okay. Once again, thank you, everyone. I know it's a little longer tonight. We start a little later. Thank you, everyone. I'll see everybody Tuesday night. We are adjourned.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.